We're going to begin this with that historic settlement in the Breonna Taylor case. The city of Louisville agreeing to pay $12 million to the family of the EMT who was fatally shot inside her own home during a police raid. The city also agreeing to sweeping police reforms. Alex Perez in Louisville, Kentucky with more. Good morning, Alex.
Hey, good morning, Michael. Breonna's mother says no amount of money will take away the pain she feels from losing her daughter the way she did, but she calls the settlement a step towards justice.
Say her name! Breonna!
For months, Breonna Taylor's name a rallying cry across the country.
Breonna Taylor!
This morning, her family calling the historic settlement with the city of Louisville more than 6 months after she was killed by police, the first step in a long march toward justice.
As significant as today is, it's only the beginning of getting full justice for Breonna.
The city of Louisville, without admitting wrongdoing, agreeing to pay $12 million to settle the Taylor family's wrongful death lawsuit, one of the largest settlements in U.S. history, involving allegations of excessive force by police.
Breonna was loved. I cannot begin to imagine Ms. Palmer's pain, and I'm deeply, deeply sorry for Breonna's death.
Breonna's heartbroken mother, TAMIKA Palmer, calling the settlement, which also includes several police reform measures, just a start.
We must not lose focus on what the real job is. And with that being said, it's time to move forward with the criminal charges because she deserves that and much more.
Demands for the officers involved in Breonna's death to be charged growing louder. The 26-year-old EMT was shot and killed by police executing a no-knock search warrant in the middle of the night at her apartment. The officers in the botched raid looking for drugs that were not there.
Help! Oh my God! Yes, help!
What's your name, sir?
Her boyfriend, Kenneth Walker, who told investigators he never heard police announce themselves, says he fired a warning shot with his legally owned gun. Police shooting back, killing Taylor. An officer was also struck. Walker initially charged with attempted murder, but those charges later dropped. He is also suing the police department.
There will be accountability. They can either accept it on their own or a jury will give it to them.
One officer has been fired. The other two remain on the job. No criminal charges have been filed. Now, a Louisville grand jury could hear the case as soon as this week. Her mother anxiously waiting.
Imagine having a daughter. Imagine your daughter being gunned down in her own home. What would you want to happen? I don't think that what we want is far-fetched. It's just justice.
And as part of the reforms in the settlement, search warrants must now be reviewed by police commanders before being sent to a judge, and police officers will now face random yearly drug tests. Michael?
All right, thank you, Alex. For more now, let's bring in ABC News chief legal analyst Dan Abrams. Dan, thank you for joining us this morning. And Dan, the Taylor family, they got a $12 million lawsuit that includes police reform, but without the city admitting any wrongdoing. Can you explain that to us?
Yeah, so first of all, this is a big deal, not just because of the enormous number with regard to the $12 million, but because of all the changes here. Typically in a civil lawsuit, it involves money damages, and one person sues another person or the government, they get money damages, and people say that'll be a deterrent to prevent things from happening in the future. Here they're going a lot of steps further by saying that's not all we're going to give. We're also going to guarantee these changes are going to be made in how we do police work. Now, with regard to the admission of wrongdoing, I think that the amount of money and certainly the changes that they're making are in essence an admission of wrongdoing. But in the context of these kinds of settlements, that's very often how the language is used.
And we saw Breonna's mother said this is a start because she said now it's time for the criminal case, because there is a potential for a criminal case against the officers. But what could the charges be, and what would the grand jury have to decide?
Well, so the grand jury is going to decide whether there should be charges here. And it could be anything from a relatively minor procedural crime to murder. When you're talking about someone having died, that is always the possibility. Remember, the grand jury is going to be looking at this officer by officer. It's not going to be lumping in 3 people and saying, are they going to be charged? The question is Is that one going to be charged? Is that one going to be charged? Is that one? And remember, one officer has already been fired because he fired 10 shots into the home. He is certainly the one that the grand jury, I would think, is going to be looking at first and foremost as they evaluate whether charges are warranted.
When all this being said, none of it can bring Breonna Taylor back. All right. Thank you so much, Dan Abrams.
Well, hey there, GMA fans. Robin Roberts here. Thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Lots of great stuff here. So go on, click the subscribe button right over here to get more of awesome videos and content from GMA every day, anytime. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the morning on GMA.